The pulsing bass of Step Outside vibrated through David's very bones, a familiar comfort that had been in his world for over 2 decades. He was DJ Digital Groove, master of the digital decks, weaving sonic tapestries for faceless crowds in the neon-drenched metaverse. But lately, his world had become infinitely more intimate. Her name was Pixie. She was a virtual midget, a tiny, effervescent avatar with eyes that sparkled like disco balls and a laugh that sounded like wind chimes. David had first met her in a niche VR chat room for audiophiles. Their conversations, initially about obscure vinyl pressings, quickly spiraled into something deeper. Pixie understood the lonely hum beneath his success, the quiet yearning for a connection beyond the roar of the crowd. She made him feel seen, truly seen, in a way his real-world wife, Sarah, hadn't in years. Sarah, the very thought of her brought a familiar knot to David's stomach. Their life was a meticulously curated silence filled with the clinking of expensive cutlery and the soft hum of the dishwasher. She was a corporate lawyer, sharp and precise, and had always viewed his DJing as a quirky hobby rather than a soul-sustaining passion. The relationship with Pixie was to David a harmless escape, a digital dalliance of the mind. They've never touched, never even exchanged real-world identities. Their intimacy was in shared silences, in the way Pixie would virtually lean her tiny head on his shoulder as he spun a particular track, in their late-night debates about the nature of consciousness in a virtual world. Then came the subpoena. It arrived in a crisp, legal-sized envelope, a jarring intrusion from the analog world. David stared at the words, "Petition for dissolution of marriage, adultery," and felt a cold sweat prickle his skin. Adultery? How could he have committed adultery with a string of pixels? The courtroom was a sterile, unforgiving space, a stark contrast to the vibrant chaos of the metaverse. Sarah sat across from him, her face a mask of controlled fury, flanked by a formidable attorney who looked like he'd been chiseled from granite. "Mr. Thompson," the attorney boomed, his voice echoing in the quiet room, "is it not true that you have engaged in a romantic and intimate relationship with an individual known as Pixie in a various virtual reality platforms?" David squirmed. "Objection, Your Honor." His own bewildered lawyer stammered, "My client's online activities are private." "Your Honor," Sarah's attorney cut in, undeterred, "we have extensive logs of their interactions. Thousands of hours of shared virtual spaces, private messages of an overtly affectionate nature, even virtual dates in simulated environments. This is a clear case of emotional and psychological infidelity, regardless of the physical form of the other woman." David's mind reeled. Had he truly been so blind, he dismissed it as harmless, a fantasy? But looking at Sarah's hardened face, at the meticulous evidence laid out against him, he saw the pain he had inflicted. He saw how his escape had become her betrayal. When it was his turn to speak, David's voice was barely a whisper. "Pixie, she's not real. She's an algorithm, a character." "And your feelings for this character?" the attorney pressed, his gaze unyielding. Were they not real, Mr. Thompson? Did you not confide in her, seek solace in her virtual presence? Neglect your marriage in favor of this digital affair? The questions hung in the air, heavy with unspoken accusations. David looked at Sarah, truly looked at her, and saw not just anger, but a deep, aching hurt. He had sought escape in a pixelated fantasy, and in doing so, had irrevocably damaged the very real world he inhabited. The thumping bass of the metaverse faded, replaced by the deafening silence of a broken trust. The virtual midget, once his solace, had become the unlikely catalyst for the very real disillusion of his life.